Ladies and gentlemen, most people think success is about hard work, talent, or even luck. And while those things do matter, the truth is, the 1% know something that they're not shouting from the rooftops. They don't want you to know because if everyone knew it, everyone would be competing at their level. The 1% won't tell you that success isn't about working harder. It's about working smarter on the right things. They won't tell you that most of them failed repeatedly, and that failure was their greatest teacher. They won't tell you that comfort kills ambition. They won't tell you that your environment, the people you hang around, can make or break you. They won't tell you that time is your most valuable asset, and they guard it ruthlessly. They won't tell you that discipline outperforms motivation 100% of the time, and they especially won't tell you that the biggest battle isn't the market or the economy, it's your own mind. Success is not a secret, it's a system, and if you're brave enough to step into discomfort, invest in your mind, say no more often than yes, and stay consistent when others quit, then you're already walking the path that only 1% dare to walk. So don't wait for permission. Build, fail, learn, rise. That's what the 1% did. And now it's your turn. One of the biggest myths sold to the masses is that hard work alone leads to success. The truth is, if hard work was the only ingredient, then every construction worker, janitor, and factory employee would be a millionaire. The 1% know that it's not just about how hard you work, it's about what you're working on and how strategically you're doing it. They focus on high-leverage actions. Instead of putting in 80 hours doing small, repetitive tasks, they create systems, build assets, or invest in opportunities that continue to produce results even when they're sleeping. They know how to delegate what doesn't require their brain and automate what doesn't require their presence. That's how they multiply their time. The 1% spend time thinking, planning, and positioning themselves. They're obsessed with results, not busyness. They ask themselves, what's the one thing I can do today that will have the biggest long-term impact? They don't fill their calendar just to feel productive. They eliminate distractions, avoid reactive work, and design their schedule around creating value. They also study trends, tools, and technology so they can stay ahead of the curve, not stuck in outdated routines. While most people are busy working hard inside the system, the 1% are figuring out how to own the system. They don't chase success with blind effort. They attract it with clarity, leverage, and execution. Most people are terrified of failure. They see it as the end of the road, as proof that they weren't good enough, smart enough, or strong enough. But the 1% see failure very differently. To them, failure is not a signal to stop its data, a valuable feedback system that tells them what didn't work so they can adjust, refine, and evolve. Every successful entrepreneur, investor, athlete, or leader has failed more times than most people have even tried. The 1% don't expect perfection. They expect progress, and they know that failure is part of that process. They don't let failure become a personal identity. They separate their actions from their worth, and they analyze what went wrong without losing confidence in who they are. More importantly, they fail fast and fail forward. They don't waste years waiting for perfect plans. They execute, they test, they break things, and then they fix them. Every failure becomes a classroom. Every mistake becomes a step forward. This mindset creates resilience, and resilience is one of the most powerful weapons in the 1%'s arsenal. Because while others stop at the first sign of defeat, the 1% keep going. They refine their craft. They adapt their approach, and over time, the lessons from their failures become the very foundation of their success. Failure is never the opposite of success, it's part of the same road. The only real failure is quitting. The 1% understand something that most people spend their whole lives avoiding. Comfort is the enemy of growth. While the majority seek safety, predictability, and routine, the most successful people intentionally place themselves in situations that are uncomfortable, because that's where transformation happens. The comfort zone feels good in the moment, but it comes with a hidden cost: stagnation. You stop learning. You stop evolving. You settle for good enough. When you're capable of greatness, the 1% refuse to live like that. They know that the next level of their life, business, or skill lies just outside their current level of ease. That's why they challenge themselves constantly. They take risks. They speak when they're afraid to. They invest when it's scary. They try new things when failure is possible. They embrace rejection, embarrassment, and setbacks because they understand that each discomfort is a signal that they are stretching, and stretch creates strength. Growth never feels good while it's happening. It's painful, it's awkward, it's uncertain, but that's exactly what makes it powerful. The 1% are addicted not to comfort, but to expansion. They've trained their minds to lean into pressure, to see resistance as a sign they're getting stronger, not weaker. In a world that rewards comfort with mediocrity, the 1% earn success by walking into the fire again and again, because they know it forges something in them that no comfort ever could. The 1% are obsessed with their environment, not just their physical space, but more importantly, their social and mental surroundings. They understand a deep, often overlooked truth. You rise or fall to the level of the people you consistently surround yourself with. While most people stay connected to toxic friends, energy, draining relatives, or average-minded groups out of comfort or loyalty, the 1% curate their environment with intention. They choose to be around people who inspire them, challenge them, and hold them accountable to a higher standard. They don't allow emotional attachment to keep them stuck in circles that sabotage their growth. They know that mindset is contagious. If you spend your time with people who complain, blame, and make excuses, you'll start doing the same. But if you surround yourself with high performers, risk takers, learners, and builders, you'll start thinking, speaking, and acting differently. You'll level up by exposure alone. The 1% invest in mentors, masterminds, coaching, and communities that stretch them. They guard their mental diet as seriously as their physical one, limiting exposure to negative media, gossip, and distractions. Even their workspace is designed to keep them focused, creative, and driven, because they know the truth. Success is not just about willpower, it's about environment. If your environment doesn't match your ambition, it will quietly crush your dreams. That's why the 1% don't leave their surroundings to chance. They engineer them so that every room they walk into pushes them forward, not backward. The 1% treat time the way most people treat money, with extreme caution and strategic precision. In fact, they often value time more than money because they understand a brutal truth. You can always make more money, but you can never make more time. While most people waste hours scrolling, reacting, and procrastinating, the 1% live by a different rulebook. Every minute they spend is an investment, and they expect a return, whether it's in health, wealth, knowledge, or peace of mind. They don't fill their calendar with noise or stay busy for the sake of appearing productive. They're focused on high-value activities, the things that move the needle, build assets, and compound over time. They say no often, not because they're rude, but because they know that every yes is a no to something more important. They protect their mornings, schedule their priorities, not just their appointments, and delegate or eliminate anything that doesn't serve their mission. They don't check their phone every 5 minutes. They don't attend every meeting. They don't get lost in the endless scroll of other people's lives. The 1% also think long-term. They understand the power of compounding. not just in money, but in how they use their time. Reading for 30 minutes a day might not change your life tomorrow, but over 5 years, it makes you unrecognizably smarter. The same applies to skills, habits, and relationships. They play the long game. Every day they ask, is what I'm doing today getting me closer to who I want to be tomorrow? That's the filter. That's the edge. That's why they seem to get so much done. Because they don't waste their most precious resource, time. If there's one truth the 1% understand better than anyone, it's this: motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. It depends on your mood, your energy, even the weather. But discipline is what separates the dreamers from the doers. The 1% don't wake up every day wanting to grind, build, learn, or lead. They don't always feel inspired, but they show up anyway, because they've trained themselves to act based on purpose, not feelings. They don't wait for the perfect mood, the perfect time, or the perfect plan. They act regardless of how they feel. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. It's choosing long-term rewards over short-term pleasure. It's getting up early to work on your craft. It's saying no to distractions, to comfort, to convenience. It's staying consistent when no one is watching. It's pushing through boredom, fatigue, and failure. The 1% have rituals, routines, and systems that lock in their habit, even on bad days, because they know that success doesn't come from a few moments of inspiration. It comes from years of disciplined action. Motivation might get you started, but only discipline will keep you going. They've also mastered something deeper: self-trust. Every time they keep a promise to themselves, their confidence grows. And every time they act with discipline, they prove to themselves that they can be counted on even under pressure. That kind of internal power is rare, it's quiet, but it's exactly what creates unstoppable momentum. In the end, the 1% don't chase motivation. They create momentum through disciplined action. And that's why they keep rising when everyone else stops. The 1% have access to money, networks, and resources. But their greatest asset isn't what they own. It's how they think. Behind every empire, every world-changing invention, every major success, you'll find a person who learned how to master their mind before they mastered the market. While most people are trapped in cycles of fear, self-doubt, and distraction, the 1% understand that the mind can be either a prison or a launchpad. They've trained themselves to be mentally resilient because they know success is not about avoiding problems. It's about staying calm, focused, and strategic through the storm. They've learned to silence the noise, the negative self-talk, the imposter syndrome, the fear of failure. Instead of reacting emotionally to every challenge, they pause, observe, and respond with intention. They don't waste energy fighting their thoughts. They reprogram them. They speak to themselves with power, with clarity, with conviction. Their inner world is disciplined, just like their outer world. The 1% invest in mindset training the same way athletes train their bodies. They meditate, they journal, they study psychology, they develop emotional control. They're always asking, what's the story I'm telling myself? Because they know that the story shapes the strategy. They also understand the danger of comparison and overconsumption. They don't let social media shape their self-worth. They don't define success by someone else's highlight reel. They define it on their own terms and stay focused on their mission, not the noise. At the highest levels of success, the game isn't physical. It's not even financial. It's mental. And once you learn how to master your thoughts, control your focus, and direct your emotions, you become unstoppable. Because then, no matter what's happening around you, you're always in control of what happens within you.